Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today's guest is Jared Lopiccolo. He's CEO and founder over at Noble Studios. Jared, welcome to the show.
Adam, thanks for having me. Looking forward to diving in, and hopefully you'll throw some curveball questions at me.
Oh, okay, Jared. There we go. There goes the challenge. I'm in. So today we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship, really, and the changing world. So lots to cover there. But just to get us kicked off, we'll start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So Jared, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Jared, what mission matters to you?
Well, first of all, I'm happy to be here to extend your vision. So I'll be part of that chain. But, we founded the company really on the premise of let's be better every day. And it's this concept that you're content, but you're not fully satisfied, right? So always asking, can I be better? Can we optimize that a bit further? And that when we bring that to the table, our team feels it, our clients feel it, our partners feel it. And so that's it. We created it to live a better life.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. And that's and for being a part of this collection of missions that we're getting out to our audience and abroad. So great stuff here. I guess just to get us kicked off here, entrepreneurship. I see you're founder of a company. Like, was that always in your blood, or is that something that came naturally? Like how did all that begin?
Yeah, actually, no, it wasn't in the blood. As I would say, most entrepreneurs are presented an opportunity and you either take it or you don't. I was actually set to be one of the youngest architects in the United States. So I was really focused on that user-centric design. And my wife or partner at the time, she was focused on copywriting. And so she was working in Las Vegas, working with a company that created the "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas" tagline. I was working at an architecture firm at the time. And then both of us thought, there's an opportunity here for us to move into the digital sort of space and really own that virtual architecture, if you will, as opposed to physical architecture, and guiding humans through this, thing that we call the internet. So that was kind of what helped us kick it off.
What year was that? Like, just roughly? Like what?
Yeah, 2001.
Wow. So that's early on, right?
Yeah. It was at the time where we had to convince people that websites are here to stay. That yes, even though you have a website, you still have to carry a business card. I remember presenting when Google launched, to teach people what is Google. So yeah, it was some early days. We were young, and so now I got a little gray to show for it.
What was that? So what was that like? And the reason I asked that question, by the way, is because I do feel a little nostalgic on this piece of it, number one, but number two, for the people that are taking for granted some of the infrastructure, and we'll get into more complicated, thought process around AI and brand and all these other things. But I want to stay in the old school just a little longer. What was that like? Because I wasn't in this space, that's for sure.
No, yeah. So I'm 43. So I was, 23-ish, when we started it, 20, and I think that it was exciting, right? It was this opportunity where everything was possible, and nobody really knew how to do it, right? So every time, you would say, well, have you ever done that before? And, as most entrepreneurs, we say, no, we say, yes, we have, and we sell it. But the reality is that nobody did know how to do it. I mean, we were some of the first to bring HTML5, to the world that we live in. I remember meeting Jeff Hahn. He was the one who created multi-touch. So all of us are pinching and zooming on phones. And I got to meet this guy, and he was all using GIS data and working with Autodesk. And so everything felt new. It felt like there's this groundbreaking opportunity. And I think part of that was hard because you just sort of chased opportunities as well. So those shiny objects, which most entrepreneurs or leaders do, but this was a different time where it really was new, and opportunity was just at the tips of your fingertips.
Yeah. How was that? And I don't want to stereotype here, but many, architects are going to be on the creative side of the brain a lot of the time. But for you to actually, jump over and think of creating that and making that into a business, or even going down that route, was that an easy stretch for you, or leap, or?
Yeah. When in school and when you think about architecture, there's that sort of practice of understanding what problem are you solving, and then you use, you do blueprints and you build, and you navigate humans through physical space, and there's always a goal and an objective when you actually build. And if you think, a lot of those same things transfer right over into the web, right? We have to understand where are humans going, how are they navigating, what do they need, right, out of this experience. And instead of blueprints for buildings, we created wireframes for websites, and you needed project managers. So it was actually quite analogous to both sides of it. Just, it was, one was physical and the other was virtual.
When did the concept of like storytelling like start to really hit home for you, or like come into play? Like when did that come about in your career?
Yeah, at first we were building digital experiences for some of the biggest brands, in homes, and we were this sort of really tight, like used to celebrate the word boutique, right? We were a boutique agency, and that meant we were creative and we can kind of take on any challenge. But I would say about 5 or 6 years in, clients started to say, "Hey, listen, we really love the digital experiences that you are all creating. How about, what do you see about our brand? Like, what do you think about our message and tone? And, do you feel like we're, targeting the right audiences and stuff?" And that started to really open us up to say, okay, we no longer need to inherit brands and extend brands, but we actually are going to create brands and tone and voice and messaging. And then ultimately started adding other services like performance marketing, to where, how are we going to meet those users where they're at that time and bring them into those experiences? But yeah, probably about 5 or 6 years in, we were being challenged by our clients to help them with their brand messaging.
So let's just say, just so my timeline's right here. So if we're starting like back in, let's say 2001, then this would be maybe pre, 2008, like collapse and everything else. Does that sound about right, when that discussion started to?
Yep. And I actually distinctively remember I was sitting in a board meeting, because that was part of, when you're an entrepreneur, you want to put yourself out there and stuff. I'm sitting in a board meeting, and everyone's like, "Hey, what's next Tuesday look like in terms of your schedules?" And everyone pulled out their Trio or Palm Pilot, Smart.
Come on, Palm Pilot, Blackberries, come on.
No, yeah, all the buttons. And I had a little flip phone, and I remember going underneath the desk and flipping it open and saying, "Yeah, that time works for me." No, I was not looking at my schedule at all. And so, yeah, going back to it, it's just that moment in time was just a very exciting opportunity, that anything was possible, and it was fun to create in that moment.
Yeah. And when I see this is kind of like, even throughout your career, and I just see, and I've seen some similarities just in the market overall, like this concept of brand, and as technology's gotten better, as it's become like, that used to be something that only like the big guys. I mean, if we go all the way back to the Mad Men days or whatever else, I mean, I know it's going way back before, digitization, obviously, but like that used to be, in that concept, and having those conversations about brand and storytelling was only for the big guys. But now, like, I just see like there's just more access, the knowledge is there, and I see even little brands that are coming up and eating some people's lunch. So I think the evolution of brand is interesting.
Yeah, when I was, and what this is actually one of the reasons why I was attracted towards the brand and marketing space, was I was working for an architecture firm, and you can imagine it was in Vegas, so they're working on big resorts, right, really large resorts. But similar to like the Disney brand, which is a very user-centric brand, like every touch point, right? The wallpaper has Disney paraphernalia, the carpet, the spoons, the plating, the music,
my AirPods, everything. I mean, I can't get away from it. Disney radio, it's my favorite. It makes me happy, whatever.
See, no, it is. It's true. It's everywhere. It's in our life. It permeates through our lives. And to your point, those big brands were the only ones that really could own all of those touch points. And I just remember getting really excited about, being assigned to not only design this resort, but also the pre and then during and post experience that these humans would have with these physical places. And a lot of it was digital. Like, hey, we had to build websites. And to think that an architect would take on building a website, it just showed that they really cared about making sure that, you really owned that full brand touch, full user experience kind of stuff. And so that drove us to getting into this space. And now we get to extend brands into every touch point of people's lives. And we love that. We love fulfilling for our clients' customers.
Talk a little bit about your approach, and your team's approach really to the creative process, and like, let's say, helping define or build on brands as they come through your doors. Like talk a little bit about the creative process for you.
Yeah, so we have what we call our TM3. It's a proven process, and it's think, make, market, and measure, right? And what that does is we approach whether you're coming in for a campaign that you want us to work on or fulfill, or you want us to look at your entire sort of brand ecosystem. We start with the think, and that, you can imagine what that is. It's qualitative, it's quantitative research, it's stakeholder interviews. It's really digging in, right? Understanding their competitors and, what do they stand for? And then we move over into the make side, which is really about producing something that we're going to put in the hands of our clients' customers, and they're going to ultimately experience that brand. And then the measure, think, make, market, the market part is really about getting it in at the right channels with the right mix, with the right calls to actions, the right, messaging and imagery and whatnot. And then we optimize, right? And when that final stage of measurement, we really are optimizing. We're doing the A/B testing. If it's on a website, we're doing conversion rate optimization and making sure that people are able to fulfill on what they're coming to the website for in a shorter amount of time and, less friction, if you will. So we just, with that approach, we take to every single interaction, again, whether we're full record agency or whether we're just coming in and fulfilling on one specific service line.
Yeah. And so one of the things and a lot of things to unpack in what you just said, but one of the words that I like to talk about is attribution, and really being able to tie something back and see, did it work? So when I think about like the importance of brand, it was always there, but whether or not we could measure it meaningfully, and we can say, based on making some of these changes, this led to an outcome within a certain period of time, that's measurable, and that, you can attribute to some of the changes you made. To me, as this increases in quality and increases, it's going to, like, the importance of brand is only going to continue to rise and continue to go up, especially if like you're in a competitive space, because that's going to be, oftentimes it's not the best product that wins. I know many of the entrepreneurs, I know that's your baby out there, and I know, okay, it's the best and you created and it's your idea and nobody in the history of the world ever thought of it. Okay, fine. But let's just put that on the side and just say that still doesn't mean you win. Like that still doesn't mean you win. The numbers are still the numbers, right? So I feel like attribution is just gonna, and like being able to track these things and being able to measure is just gonna get better and better. And based on that, story is going to become that much more important. Like, love to hear your insight, because that's just my, but you're on the inside day in and day out doing this for brands. So tell me your thoughts on like just attribution and like tracking and all of that.
Yeah, I think, well, at the highest level, there's a lot of debate around attribution, right? Does it work and does it not work? And, and so I think the key is to measure at the conversion point and then try to, sort of work backwards from that. So yes, can you give attribution to first click? Like, this is the first time that they've experienced your brand, or do you give it all the credit to last click? And then that's the most important channel, but then you're missing all these touch points in between. And what you really find is that you need to follow intent-based signals. That's at the bottom line. And not everyone, has the similar buyer's journey, right? Some people will start in social, or they'll end in social, or some people will start at a conference, or they'll start with a white paper and they'll end at a website down, scheduling a demo. I think at the end, though, the goal is to really monitor those intent signals and then make sure that you're meeting those users at that moment in time, when they need that piece of content or that information. And then the last thing I would say is, whether it's for B2B or whatever else, the goal really is to speak to them in the words that they need to hear, right? So you need to be talking about what problems that they're having and how your solution, service, or experience solves that problem. And I think that at the end of the day, though, it's all about intent-based signals.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one of the interesting things is, as much as I'm like obsessed with this concept of attribution, and of course, who wouldn't be, right? Because you're spending money and you're spending dollars, right? You have these ideas, and that's ultimately validation. But funny story. So I'm at a mixer that we did in Orange County. Maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. And we pick up a new client out of that. We're just, in the community, we host a mixer. There's no like real like theme or any sales pitch there. And we're trying to figure out like, where'd this person come from? Come to find out, they were on like one of our original shows like 8 years ago that doesn't even exist anymore. Like, track that one through the old CRM attribution guy. Maybe of course you can, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, at some point I feel like story turns into sales, and that ultimately like prevails. Like that's ultimately like how I feel about it. Like, talk to me about like story, and like even just that concept for some out there that don't quite know that like story does turn into sales. Like, talk to me about that concept.
Yeah. Well, and I just to comment on that piece, I think 8 years is a long time to see that ROI pay off, and to your point, it lived out in the wild for 8 years and then
You're
came back.
listening to the show for 8 years. I don't
Yeah,
know, right? How am I
I love
supposed
it.
to know that?
I love it. No, but I think at the end of the day, I think people want to align with brands that they
Yeah.
care about, right? That it elicits an emotional response. And so
Mhm.
when you story tell, right? And even when you just now, you were talking about, you visually brought me into Southern California.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really critical is to humans buy from other humans. And at the end of the
Mhm.
day, they're often an emotional purchase, right? When a company, when you're looking at buying something, you say, okay, let's use Amazon for instance, and I'm buying a widget. Well, this widget and this widget, they're
Yeah.
identical, they're the same price, shipping is the exact same, number of reviews are the exact same.
Mm.
And the next part becomes an emotional purchase. Like, do I like the color of it, or
Mm.
does a friend of mine have that? And so I think the goal is to really help to storytell, is to find what your sort of end user,
Mhm.
your end customer, how are you going to emotionally connect with that person? And a lot of times it is storytelling, right? And so
Yeah.
you see some of the greatest brands doing this. You've got Airbnb, and they're not just saying, here, come and rent this, house. They're talking about
Yeah.
all the assets that community has, and they're showcasing
Mm.
all the experiences and things to do. And they're storytelling. They're effectively getting someone hooked into that emotional story. And
Mm.
then, oh, by the way, we have this product that's called,
Yeah.
a home you could rent, so I think it's critical that you do move more into that storytelling, but the goal is you got to understand your audience, right? So
Mhm.
that's where you really got to know, like, what values, do we need to be speaking to? What pains do they currently have? What does
Yeah.
the end state look like, right? Is it this celebratory state of this purchase? And so so that was,
Mhm.
I'd leave everybody with, you have to use storytelling to connect with brands, because also we got a million things hitting us on an average on a daily basis, that if you don't connect with me emotionally, you're
Yeah.
already in my rear view mirror.
Yeah, and that's, I think for some, that's a huge like opportunity and benefit. The fact that we're all being so inundated, because if you are an
Yeah.
authentic brand, or when I mean by authenticity, if whatever your particular mission is, or whatever your particular story is, if you recognize how much that matters and understand that for
Yeah.
the person that, like, even our brand, like I don't think that my voice or my podcast has to be the one that everybody in the world listens to.
No.
Sure, would that be amazing? Would that be nice?
Yeah.
Okay, great. But I'm not really worried about that. I'm worried about, and I'm just want to connect with one person. Like, hopefully they find that this is valuable, that I'm bringing an entrepreneur or an interview to them that's going to be of meaning and of value in their lives. That's all I'm worried about.
Yep.
And I'm authentic about that. And that is our mission, to amplify the stories of entrepreneurs and executives. Like, that's what we do. So
Yep.
am I gonna one day, next week start doing something different? No. Like, it's just not us. That's not our brand.
Yep.
And the moment we start doing things like that, like, I think you get yourself in trouble. People don't know what to expect from you. And I feel like that's when a lot of, whether it's in the scaling process, or I don't know what
Yep.
different part that is, when people lose their North Star of what they're trying to accomplish and start trying to be everything to everybody, then they lose traction, and then the story becomes diluted, and then it's just a mess. And now they got to figure out what's next, right?
Yep. I think, and to lead on that, I think some of the best brands, if you look at them,
Yeah.
they specialize, right? They really focus on just the one, right? It's not,
Mhm.
the Amazons and the Walmarts and things like that. They are the one to many model, because they have every product. But that's the
Yeah.
brands that are percolating and are successful today are the
Mhm.
ones that do, one or a few things, but do them really, really, really well. And they don't try to be, for every
Mhm.
single person. And I think that's smart, because as soon as you start to spread yourself thin, as soon as you start to serve, the dollars, if you will,
Yeah.
instead of serving the mission, I think you lose your North Star, as you said. And so that's one
Mhm.
thing that I would recommend to every entrepreneur, every leader, is to really hold that mission and
Mhm.
vision close to the chest, and use it as your sort of, filter, your
Yeah.
waypoint, right? As you start to fall off the trail because you start chasing the shiny object or a net new service line or whatever it is, and then you bring yourself back on. And you just see it all the time. People chase technology, and if it doesn't fit within,
Mhm.
your core offering, right, of what you do and what you could be known for, then it's probably a distraction.
Yeah. So, based on your experience, you know, I got to bring up AI.
Yeah, of course, please.
You've seen from the beginning, like the
Yep.
beginning of digitization. You've seen all of the things that have taken place from like now to with brand, from the beginning of digitization to now. Now everybody's talking about AI.
Yep.
A lot of mixed feelings, a lot of mixed opinions there.
Yep.
Where do you sit on this issue? Like, how does AI fit into brand?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked. We've always been an early adopting company, right? We like to say that we're on the leading edge, not the bleeding edge. So we're watching people in front of us fall and kind of break their nose a little, and we step back just a hair. But I think, you know, that doesn't mean we didn't run at AI. In fact, I don't know of another agency that's running at it as fast as we are. So we're embracing it, but we're embracing it more from an angle of like it's assisted AI, not full generative AI, right? The stuff we put in clients in front of them, never is it just come right off of a platform and into the client's hands. It's got to be, you know,
That would be pretty dangerous. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I think you see it, right? And you see it a lot of times on the client team side where they've got marketeers internal and they love it. They love the empowerment. They're like, I can do what the agencies used to do, and it comes off polished and it feels right. But those that are veterans, right, that have like a volume of experience that have come through our agency, we look at it and we say, wait a second, you know, that message is misleading, or it's competing with your competitor, or it doesn't attract your audience, or it's isolating another audience. And it's so complex. And so, you know, for us, I'm a big fan. I love it. I literally am like doing Mid-Journey at night at 10 o'clock at night in my bed, prompting and coming up with stuff and sending it. I couldn't see the eclipse just yesterday, and I was like, oh, I was, you know, and so I prompted up an amazing eclipse in totality, the path of totality. And I was going to throw it online, and I thought, no, don't do that. The purist in me didn't want to do that. But the point is you really want to use this as a tool, you know, but you also want to be cautious about it. So we brought our legal counsel in. We've got a matrix. We look at every single AI platform that we're using. What are their terms in use? We communicate to our clients about how we use it. We have an AI task force. Every month we do a show and tell with our team and what they're actually creating and how we've communicated that to the client. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, I love it. And I subscribe to the fact that there are more humans on this planet than there ever was. And there are more employed humans on this planet than there ever was. And I have no reason to think that there won't be more humans and more people employed just because we have a new machine learning tool that we can leverage. So,
I'm a fan of it. I mean, I think it's going to just create more opportunity. It's going to be a bigger market. There's going to be more time for people to spend on things that they like, higher level thinking and things that they want to be doing versus kind of some of the rote routines and tasks. Not comparing this one when I say my next statement, but I'm looking forward to the AI Adam that my team tells me they're building. So there'll be a version of this interview. I mean, I've done over 6,000 interviews now. So, you know, I probably asked a certain amount of questions at some point. So we'll see what happens when the AI Adam comes out, because I'm in. I was like, let's see what you guys make. I'm all for it.
Look, I've got to comment on this because literally this last quarter, our team generated the GPT Jared version. And so they ingested all of my interviews, all the content writing, and then they fed in our core values from our company and everything. And it's amazing. Like, it literally can spit out stuff that I would normally say. And one of the things they did an analysis, and I haven't dropped an F-bomb yet on the show, but it might happen. They did an analysis of like how often I swear. And it was basically,
Are you serious?
I swear. So I swear every.
Your team is great. I love this. Shout out to all of Jared's team. This is amazing.
No, it's comical, but yeah, so I guess I swear every 500 words, which is, you know, then we asked it, well, is that above average? And it was like by 4x, it's above average. So clearly I've got a potty mouth, you know, is what we needed AI to tell me that, though, apparently, you know. So.
No, this is progress. See, anybody that says the AI is not progress, hey, we can all use
and now I'm like, I'm self-conscious. I'm starting to cut back on swearing. I'm like, oh, frickin' this and frickin' that, as opposed to something else, you know, because I'm just like, so, but no, I think it's such an amazing moment in time. I've always embraced innovation. Again, back to mentioning like multi-touch and what did that do? Think about what that did for all of us, you know, and and tablets in bed and phones and this, that, and the other, and now cars and driverless cars. It's just, this is only going to add to it. And I just say embrace it. If you're nervous about it, like grab a glass of wine and just try to make something with it. And the tools are free. I get it. I'm just not concerned about the data privacy and all that stuff. And I will say this, a lot of the young generation aren't either. They want a frictionless consumer experience. And if it means giving their data away for that, great. If it means they have to be early adopters of technology, but they get to fulfill on what their needs are, then great. But yeah, I'm a big believer that it's an exciting moment in time.
Let's jump around a little bit here and get into some of the niches that you're active in. So travel, tourism. I mean, talk to me a little bit more about some of the niches you cover.
Yeah. So B2B, of course, is a big thing. We've always been in the tech, sort of fintech and tech stage, SaaS and all that. I would say over the last 12 years, we really leaned deep into the travel and tourism space, partly because they're not selling a widget or a gadget or a product. They're selling human experiences. They're selling memories, right? And those things last forever. And so I love their core value and mission of that. But I will say, and we can thank Instagram for this, for making travel sexy, right? The influencers taking a shot in the park and near a waterfall or at a cliff or whatever. We won't go into that, but they made it popular. And so we market destinations, right? San Francisco was a big client of ours. We do a lot of Southern California beach towns. Yosemite is a big client of ours. And what am I bringing those up is that these are places that are now experiencing what they call over tourism. And that's a challenge, because while we want to share these destinations and build these experiences and build these memories, we have to do it in a responsible way. And so we already know how to attract visitors. We know how to meet them at the channels that they're at. Now it's about attracting the sort of right visitors. And so for that, we were creating what we call sustainability audiences. So we're looking at people and saying, okay, with this audience, they value things like outdoor sports or stand-up, paddle boards or kayaking or hiking or biking. And, they happen to have an EV car and, name off all the different attributes. And so we then create this audience, and then we market to them the assets of, say, Lake Tahoe. And then they come into town and they actually stay longer in market. They engage with locals in a more positive way. They, visit non-over tourist, areas, so they reduce that sort of impact, that impact on the environment. And then they come back. They're repeat visitors as well. And so what client doesn't want a repeat visitor? And so we're really trying to lead the charge when it comes to architecting sustainable travel. And I was just speaking last week at a conference in Vegas about this exact topic. And it's a pretty exciting moment in time for the travel and tourism industry.
Man, that is exciting to think about the natural resources side of it, and that, okay, you figured out it's an evolution. You figured out what I'll call the basics, which is, can we get people there profitably, right? And make sure there's an ROI on that check. And now we're finally developing to the point where it's like, we can do that, but let's make sure we bring the right people that are gonna use the facilities the way that we want, and are not gonna, whatever that is for the particular situation. And that they're going to be better clients for, in this case, of the parks, of the environment. All the way cars going through the forest or whatever versus, whatever the opposite is. It's a win, right, for that area.
It is. And for each one of these environments, we're creating what they call stewardship tenants, which really is about connecting the visitor with the local, right? There's always been tension between visitors and locals, because they're like, hey, we live here because we love it, and now we have to share it with everyone. But that's really part of the economy, right? It keeps the wheels turning. So we build these sort of messaging and stewardship tenants where it connects the local and what they believe in, and it educates the visitor when they come into market, and then it supports the local businesses that keeps that economic wheel, that flywheel turning. So that's a really exciting time, because now we have this chance of bringing, to your point, the right visitors into market.
Man, that's huge. I mean, that's progress for humanity. I love it. It's great. It's a great story.
Thank you.
Well, Jared, I have to say it has been great having you on the show. I learned a lot. I feel like we went through a whole lot of content in terms of the evolution of not just digital, but the marketplace in general. I just have to ask, I mean, what's next? What's next for you? What's next for Noble Studios?
Yeah. So, thank you for asking. It's been a good journey, right? With 20 years in the making. And I think we kind of came out of the pandemic, and I think a lot of companies are feeling this pressure of coming out of the pandemic and like, what is next? And And we just thought we have such a healthy brand. We've affected people positively, all of our stakeholders, right? Whether that's board members to clients, to team members, to partners. And so we're in a growth mode. We have a big 25% growth goal that's set on the company this year. We're in international markets right now. I'd love to wake up one day and we're a 24-hour agency and that we're serving the globe and our brand is positively impacting and we're spreading the message of let's be better every day.
Amazing. And if somebody's listening to this or watching this and they want to connect and follow up with your team, how do they do that?
Well, first we have our website. Like everyone, go to our website. It's Noble Studios. That's NOBLESTUDIOS.com. Take a look at case studies, read some of the thought leadership. If you feel like we're the right company, reach out to us, or you could even go to my LinkedIn, which is Jared Lopiccolo. It's JARROD LOPICCOLO, and just send me a direct message. I love to connect with other humans. Learn about their stories. It's the best way to make a friend, right? Is to listen. So I'd love to listen and hear, but I would say don't sell me shit the first time. Maybe the third or fourth time we're interacting, then you can. But otherwise, just let's reach out and talk.
Yeah, it's about time you dropped at least one halfway curse word. I was like, man, you don't love us over here at Mission Matters? Did AI? I mean, what did I do to you, Jared?
No, it's literally I'm building I'm really sensitive these days.
I had to just for good measure. Thank you. I was like, man, it's just like we're not.
What the hell? I know. You made me put a jacket on and all that,
Amazing. Well, for everybody watching, just so you know, we'll put the links in the show notes, of course, so that you can just click on the links, head right on over. And if you're new to Mission Matters or to the platform, we're all about bringing on business owners, entrepreneurs, executives, and experts, and having them share their mission, their vision as entrepreneurs, and we all grow together here. That's the aim. If that sounds interesting, this is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new episodes. So definitely hit that subscribe button because we'd sure love to have you back here so you can hear some more great stories from entrepreneurs. And Jared, again, thank you so much for making some time for us, and look forward to continuing to watch the Noble Studios journey. So appreciate it.
Adam, thank you. Appreciate you.